It's been 3 years since we've been here north of the border in Toronto with the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, of course, alongside the NTT IndyCar Series. But it is good to be back at the Grand Prix of Toronto, a unique city, of course, the capital of Ontario, and the biggest city in the country of Canada. And the race fans are back as well. The rabid motorsports fans of Canada are here. My name is Rob Howden, joined today here trackside in the Intercare Center right in front of the Road to Indy paddock by Louis Foster, the point leader right now in the Indy Pro 2000 category. He's about 90 minutes away from going green with his own race. We'll jump right into it. Louis, we're going to start with you. It's been a tremendous mid-season for you. Obviously, a strong start to the program, but back on the street course here right now. 4 straight pole positions, and, man, you have a solid lead in the points championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think now it's, 51 points after the 2 poles. So, yeah, I mean, the team's done a really good job all year. We've really hit our stride the last few race weekends. So hopefully we can try and convert those 2 poles into 2 wins today and tomorrow.
A unique racetrack here, 1.7 miles in length, 11 corners around what is normally a few city streets, including the Lakeshore Boulevard, one of the most busiest parts of the city here in Toronto. Louis, when you came over here for the first time, you'd never been on a street circuit before. You ran at St. Petersburg, a couple of pole positions. You've got that experience. You've won on an oval already. You've won on the natural terrain road courses as well. Coming back to the race here, the street circuit in Toronto, do you feel more comfortable than you did back at St. Petersburg?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We had, since St. Pete, there's been, 5 race weekends or so. You know, it's my second time here on a street course, obviously first time here at Toronto. Did a lot of preparation for this weekend, made sure that, we knew the track well and we could come into it and, hit the ground running. But yeah, no, really happy with the team's job in qualifying, and hopefully we can continue that success into the race.
Let's talk about the track as well. One of the things about the Road to Indy, as you all know, we come out early. We normally the first cars to hit the racetrack on any given weekend, and anytime you're at a track like the one here at Toronto, the track's going to be super dusty and dirty. They did the best to clean it on Friday morning. Some wet sessions, wet corners rather, for the drivers in USF2000. A little better for you guys, Louis, but you've been on track now for 3 sessions. Practice and 2 qualifyings, pole for both of you, as I said. How much does this track change with IndyCar finally getting out there? Has there been a rapid change throughout the 3 runs? I
mean, yeah, I think our qualifying time today was a second faster than yesterday. Obviously, it was a bit cooler. It was in the morning, so there was a bit to play there. But I reckon, track evolution probably about 6-7 tenths from yesterday to today. Obviously, as the rubber goes down, we get more grip, and then the balance of the car changes. You pick up more rear grip, so some more understeer. Basically just kind of playing an educated guessing game, really, on what the car's going to do. I mean, it's the same thing as what we've done in this race now. We've done an educated guess, me and my engineer John, on what we think the car's going to do during the race, and hopefully we can have a good race car.
All the drivers in USF2000, the same thing, sitting down with their engineers, coming up with that educated guess of what you have to change, because, again, this track just keeps getting better and better. IndyCar back out for another practice session. The sports cars from the Ontario program were just on track as well. So this track is going to be different when the USF2000 drivers do eventually roll out for their first of 2 races here this weekend. Thinking about a long-run pace, I know qualifying was what you look at first, Louis. Did you guys do any longer runs in practice? I know that not many guys, or some of the guys didn't pit, but did you try to run through the entire session?
Oh gosh, poor memory. I don't know.
You're still focused on those 2 poles.
Yeah, obviously so. I don't know if we did. I think realistically, because we only had 1 practice session, it's not like the IndyCar boys. They could do a quali sim and then a race sim. We only had 30 minutes, and realistically, it was just learn the track in those 30 minutes. So yeah, I think we got a feel for the tires. Yeah, we ran 1 set of tires, but there was a red flag, I think, in that session as well. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of going into this a bit blind. Obviously, the track hasn't been raced in 3 years. How that's going to affect the tires with very little rubber down. But I think there's going to be a bit more rubber now after IndyCar's just done their practice session. Hopefully it'll be a good race. I mean, hoping for some good racing. I think turn 3, lap 1's going to be quite interesting. Hopefully no one puts it in the wall.
That's it. Always that big run down Lakeshore Boulevard to the hairpin, turn number 3. It should be exciting. On a bit of a delay here, there was some issues before IndyCar got rolling, so not quite the start time we expected here on Road to Indy TV, but the drivers of USF2000 have worked their way to the pre-grid. We will head into the driver introductions here in about 5 or 10 minutes from now. Let's wrap things up with Louis Foster, as we are back-to-back here on this particular broadcast with both USF2000 followed right by Indy Pro 2000. Louis, you come in with a solid point lead, 49 to start the weekend, 51 now with the 2 bonus points from pole. How has your mindset changed? Does it still go out there to try to win races, or can you kind of maybe be more strategy, kind of manage things all the way through to Portland?
I mean, you know, as the late Kobe Bryant once said, you know, job's not finished. You know, at the end of the day, we're still pushing, we're still on the gas. Obviously, making more intelligent decisions.
Yep.
You know, depending on who I'm racing, you know, if it's a Nam that's trying to overtake me, or if it's Gold that's trying to overtake me, for example. Someone who's in my championship battle, basically making sure I continue to beat them. But of course, we're going to go out there, try and win. But at the end of the day, just be cautious and make sure that we don't make silly mistakes that can jeopardize our lead.
Obviously a little different in USF2000. As we know in Indy Pro, Louis Foster with a pretty good lead. He will manage that all the way through to the triple header at Portland. Different for the race we're about to see here right now, USF2000. A great battle between Michael D'Orlando and Miles Rowe. But Miles' teammate, Jace Denmark, third in points, 2 pole positions. He'll start from the front row both races this weekend. He could find himself back in contention as well. All 3 of those drivers were in the middle of the hunt when we were at Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago. Let's have a look back at that event in USF2000 in Lexington, Ohio. With the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship passing the midpoint of the 2022 season at Road America in June, the program's Independence Day weekend event at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course most certainly turned the corner in the title fight. Primary combatants Michael D'Orlando from Cape Motorsports and Miles Rowe from Pabst Racing arrived ready to challenge for wins. The 2.258-mile 13-turn track is a challenge with limited passing opportunities, and after some chaotic action through the opening laps of the first race, which resulted in a short lap 3 caution, Rowe emerged with the lead, one that he would take through to an impressive victory, his 3rd of the year. Rowe's Pabst Racing teammate Jace Denmark pressured J. Howard Driver Development's Lockie Hughes all race long, but the rookie did not falter. Hughes finished 2nd on track in his series debut, but unfortunately did not make weight in post-race inspection, elevating Denmark to 2nd. Exclusive Autosports' Billy Fraser advanced to the top 3 ahead of Barber winner Jagger Jones and Kiwi Jacob Douglas, who delivered his best performance of the year for Exclusive Autosport. In race 2, D'Orlando jumped out to the early lead, but the yellow came out again on lap 4 when Fraser and D-Force's Dylan Christie made contact, forcing both drivers to retire from the race. On the restart, Rowe ran the outside of turn 5 to grab the lead from D'Orlando in turn 6, bringing Denmark along with him to make it a Pabst Racing 1-2. D'Orlando was able to get back by for 2nd, but Rowe was long gone down the road. The battle ended early when Bajoy Gard went off in turn 9, bringing out a caution that slowed the field through to the checkered flag. For Rowe, it was his 4th win of the year and one that moved him into the point lead. Behind the top 3, VRD Racing's Nikita Johnson finished an impressive 4th. Cape Motorsports' Nicky Hayes scored his best finish of the year in 5th. D'Orlando stepped up when he needed to in the final race of the weekend, winning from the pole position to cut Rowe's lead to just 12 points heading to the streets of Toronto. Rowe ran 2nd for a majority of the race, but a potentially catastrophic off-track excursion in turn 1 allowed Denmark to slip through to steal 2nd. Rowe held on for 3rd, completing Pabst Racing's run of putting both drivers on the podium in all 3 races. The USF2000 drivers and teams will now set their sights on the 2nd street circuit course of the year as they head north of the border to contest the Honda Indy Toronto on July 15th to 17th.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper.
karting and motorsport enthusiasts. Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers. It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Endure Maxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things,
USF2000
like teaching your sister's kid how to
#1
parallel
here
park.
on the streets of Toronto. Entering our powder.
Well, race fans, we have
Thankfully,
had practice.
these Cooper
We have
Endure
had
Maxes aren't
qualifying
just
for the Road
tough.
to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. It's now time to go racing. The first of 4 events that we'll have here on the streets of Toronto this weekend. Getting set to go with the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Toronto for USF2000. Let's have a look at the grid of the 16 drivers getting set to fire things up today. Starting on row number 8 of the tail of the field, an issue in qualifying, no time put in, so he's going to start at the very back. This is a driver to watch, a top 5 competitor this year, a number of podium finishes from New Zealand in the Corpay exclusive Autosport. Number 92 machine Billy Fraser starting from the tail of the field in 16th. Inside of Billy, it's Frederick Lund from Nicaragua in the number 7. Racing with J. Howard Driver Development. He'll start in the 15th position. Up now to row number 7 on the outside from Mexico, continuing our international field here. Jorge Garcias in the number 9 for J. Howard Driver Development, the rookie starting in the 14th spot. Inside, the only Canadian we have right now on the road to Indy, it's Thomas Naveau for D-Force Racing out of Oka, Quebec, Canada in the number 10 machine. Watch for Naveau to work his way forward in that blue and white number 10, a race winner last year at Road America. Moving now up into row number 6 on the outside, Nicholas D. Orlando from Hartsdale, New York in the number 91 starting in 12th. And on the inside from Princeton, New Jersey for D-Force Racing, it's the number 11 of Dylan Christie. Working our way into the top 10 now. Again, this is USF2000, the first rung of the road to Indy. We'll have on the outside Bajoy Garg in the number 12 position, number 12 for D-Force Racing. He'll start 10th. Inside for Jay Howard Driver Development, a solid qualifying effort from the rookie out of Ohio. Ivagoras Papasavas in the number 6, starting in 9th. Row number 4 on the outside from California, Nikki Hayes, a rookie for Cape Motorsports, in the number 5, starting 8th. And from St. Louis, Missouri, for Turn 3 Motorsport, it is Spike Kohlbecker in the number 33. Kohlbecker has spent a lot of time up here in Canada running up at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the F1600 program earlier in his career. Excited to be back here in Toronto this weekend in the number 33. Row 3 will have Christian Weir out of Naperville, Illinois on the outside for Turn 3 Motorsports. Has shown fantastic speed out of the gate here on the streets of Toronto. Was trending to try to get a pole position run in qualifying, but a minor issue set him back. He'll start on the outside of row number 3. It'll be a P6 starting spot for the 32 of Christian Weir. Inside of that row, a driver with multiple race wins this year, runner-up in the USF2000 program last year, right in the middle of a championship battle right now from Hartsdale in New York. His brother starting down in 12th. I'm talking about Michael D'Orlando from Cape Motorsports in the white number 4. He'll start on the inside of row 3, another driver to keep an eye on, trying to work his way forward. Up now to row number 2. This young driver has really stepped things up over the second half of the season. From New Zealand, just 16 years of age, the rookie for Exclusive Autosport, Jacob Douglas in the number 90, starting in the 4th position, his best career starting spot. And on the inside of that row, starting in 3rd, out of New York, the Pabst Racing, your point leader in the number 22, multiple-time race winner this year, Miles Rowe in the number 22, starting in 3rd. Moving now into row number 1. 16 drivers in total, 2 on the front row. Off pole, 3rd generation driver, Jagger Jones, the rookie in the number 3 for Cape Motorsports. His best start, watch for Jagger to attack early. He'll start on the inside, the outside rather, of row 1, but the driver who put the car on the pole position, in fact, poles in both races, a 113.062 for race number 1. Jace Denmark out of Scottsdale, Arizona, in that number 23 for Pabst Racing, starting on the pole position. It'll be Denmark and Jones on row 1, Rowe and Douglas on row 2, D'Orlando and Weir on row 3, Kohlbecker and Hayes on row 4, Papasavas and Garg on row 5, Christie and D'Orlando on row 6. Row 7 will have Neveu and Garcias, and row 8, Lund and Fraser. Again, I mentioned the international field we have this weekend here in the USF2000 program. We talked about drivers from New Zealand, Billy Fraser and Jacob Douglas, from Nicaragua for Frederick Lund, Mexico for Garcias. A number of American drivers in the field, as we know, and we'll see more of that when we head into Indy Pro 2000. Drivers from England, from Ireland, US, Canada. A great field of drivers this year on the road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. So, of course, the AMR safety crew out on the racetrack, making sure everything's cleaned up and good to go for the drivers. Our first race, of course, of 4 that we'll have for the road to Indy here this weekend. Double headers for both USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000. Drivers here in USF 2000 racing for a scholarship worth over $400,000 to move them into the Indy Pro 2000 category next year. Really, that is the differing point of any other program around the world. The scholarship program we have for our road to Indy drivers who started the Lucas Oil School of Racing, winning a scholarship if they win that series to move to USF Juniors, our brand new series we launched this year. The Juniors champion winning a scholarship to move up to USF 2000. USF 2000, of course, $400,000 plus to move to Indy Pro. Almost $700,000 to win the Indy Pro 2000 championship to move to Indy Lights. And, of course, as we've seen with drivers like Pato O'Ward and Kyle Kirkwood, if you win in that Indy Lights program, you win that scholarship to move up to the NTT IndyCar Series for at least 3 races, including the Indianapolis 500. Moments away from firing up the engines here for our first of 2 USF 2000 races on the weekend. We'll back this right up after Victory Lane celebrations with the Indy Pro 2000 race. And, of course, we'll be back on Sunday morning. We'll fire up that morning with 2 more races that will feature the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series. Again, this is where Renus VK started. Kyle Kirkwood. You go through the entire NTT IndyCar Series grid, and many of them starting here in this Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Drivers, of course, staying focused right now, knowing that they'll be firing these engines up momentarily. Every one of these engines built by Elite Engines out of Wisconsin. The Knapp family producing all the power for our program in both USF 2000 and Indy Pro. Again, for each one of these drivers, time to fire things up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time, indeed, to fire up these engines for USF2000. And join me down here on pit lane to give the command to fire from Cooper Tires Canada, Patrick Miron.
On behalf of Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines.
Engines coming to life down on pit lane. We'll send it back up to Todd Lewis. So we're about to go racing with USF2000.
Thank you, Rob Howden. Rob will join me up here momentarily, and you hear the engines coming to life. These were the first cars out on track this morning when we began our Honda Indy Toronto Saturday program with the USF2000 qualifying for tomorrow's race. We've run through the starting grid. Qualifying has been done, and now it is time to race. First race of the day, and it is an afternoon filled with action here at the Honda Indy Toronto. The NTT Indy Car Series qualifying coming up later on, and then more racing action afterwards with the Porsche Carrera Cup and the Sports Car Championship Canada. But right now it is open wheel action as the USF2000 cars begin to make their way around out on course and start to weave those cars back and forth, trying to generate a little bit of heat into those tires. We have seen a lot of action even just in the practice and in the qualifying sessions, and some very dramatic driving by all of these drivers. Jace Denmark will start on the pole, and rookie Jagger Jones, who has had a very strong season for a rookie coming into open wheel racing, whose history hadn't been in open wheel racing himself. His family history is, but his history hadn't been, as we see a couple of the cars just kind of getting slowly moving and lining up, heading up to corner number one and trying to continue to keep the heat in those tires, or get some heat into those tires as they get out and get set for their first action here this afternoon. Behind the pace car now in that wide open long stretch along Lakeshore Boulevard, weaving back and forth. You see the front row of Jace Denmark and Jagger Jones. Championship leader Miles Rowe in row number 2 as well. What a terrific season he has had for the champion right now, or the championship leading Miles Rowe, with 6 consecutive podium finishes, looking to score another podium here this afternoon and hopefully move up to that number 1 spot. Of course, did have the quickest time, but endured that penalty for running past the checkered flag during the qualifying session, so he starts on the inside of row number 2. Cars circulating now around the back part of that course and getting set to line up and get ready to go racing, and they'll come under the control of the flagger and hopefully be lined up nicely 2 by 2 coming out of row number 11, Rob Howden, to get our racing action underway here this afternoon in the USF2000 series.
Todd, thank you so much. 20 lappers still, even with the kind of truncated schedule we've had here today, but we are shortening the amount of time, the max time, to 40 minutes. We had a 45-minute window. We're going down to 40 minutes just in case to get things back on schedule. But again, every one of these drivers, Todd, has been just waiting to get racing. They wanted to get up here to Toronto. They wanted to feel the energy of this racetrack, of the fans that come to this facility. They've had that over the last day. It is time to go racing to the field, working their way up into position. And indeed, field set. And again, it will be on the inside. Jace Denmark on the outside. Jagger Jones working their way through turn number 11. It's time to fire things up here at the Grand Prix of Toronto. And we are green, green, green. Flag flying on turn number 1. Here they come down. 3, make it 4 wide. Couple drivers time into the outside. It gets very tight, as we know, of the exit turn number 1. Clean on the entry. Jace Denmark will drive into the early lead. Right there is Miles Rowe. First run down Lakeshore Boulevard. And we were 4 wide before. You know we're going to be 2 wide, maybe make it 3. Miles Rowe thinking about going to the lead. The number 22 to the outside of the opening corner. Miles Rowe trying to go around his teammate down into turn number 3. Hold your breath as they come into turn number 3, folks, as we get set to go. They're going to get them out at turn number 3. So being told an issue with the camera potentially in turn number 3, so we're not going to get that spot. We're going to try to get that fixed up if they possibly can. Drivers clean through so far. We'll get that shot as they come out at turn number 4. Billy Fraser settling in for that battle. We talked about Fraser having an issue. He was able to get 1 car on the opening lap. But again, they'll work their way down the straightaway here into turn number 8 through 6, 7, and here turn 8, very tough corner, a lot of different patches of asphalt and concrete through that area, the drivers will just tiptoe their way through, especially in the opening lap, Tom, when they start to get the heat built into the tires.
Kudos to those USF2000 drivers for finding their way through on lap number 1. As you mentioned, 3 and 4 wide heading into corner number 1. They got spread out again along Lakeshore Boulevard heading into corner number 3. Miles Rowe's been able to pick up a position and get up to second and challenge Jay Stenmark, but then thought better of, maybe I don't want to try to stick that car upside on the inside too early, and let's just settle in here a little bit and look for a better opening.
Well, listen, to be real, if you think about the championship coming in, right, Rowe ahead of D'Orlando, as long as he's in front of Michael D'Orlando on the racetrack, it's a win for that situation, expands the lead. You find yourself on the wall here, and you've really ruined everything. Everybody kind of stacking up, coming out of turn number 4. As we said, an issue with our camera in turn number 3, so not able to get that camera down into the corner for you. You can see these drivers scrapping it out there. Some potential contact there. Whoa, wide run there for Nicky Hayes as he's able to hold on to the spot. Jacob Douglas diving into the P5 position. So Douglas, the young Kiwi, now up into the 5th, but it's Denmark, Rowe, Jones, and D'Orlando, a couple of Pabst racing cars, and then the 2 drivers from Cape Motorsports, P3 and P4.
Good scrap up at the front with those first 4 cars battling for position. You saw that skid of Nicky Hayes coming through corner 5. We've talked a bit about it. That is a very slick corner. The drivers really having to hang on as they come around to complete lap number 2 with still Jay Stenmark out in front of Miles Rowe.
Yeah, definitely stacking up a little bit further back as well. You can see that gap at the back there as they're trying to go side by side. I believe that might be, I think, Weir. Yeah, it's Christian Weir and Bajoy Garg. Weir in the 32, Garg in the 12. And a big lineup behind them. Weir, Garg, Nick D'Orlando, Papasavas, Christie, and Nouveau all right there. Half a second back to Billy Fraser, who's got 2 spots here earlier. So a position per lap for Billy Fraser as he's trying to get himself back up there again. A half a second currently behind Thomas Nouveau. Oh, trouble there for Jones. Really threw it deep into turn number 3. Watch him chase the car up the track on the exit over to turn number 4. Keep your head back down. Denmark, Rowe, Jones, and D'Orlando, the top 4 drivers, separated by just about a second and a half over the second lap. And you can see Billy Fraser, P5, further back there. He's got a big gap back as well to Spike Kobecker in the number 33.
Looks like we might have had a change for the lead, and Miles Rowe might have jumped out in front of Jace Denmark as they came up through the back part of the course.
Let's pick that one up if we possibly can as they work their way through that corner. Not there. Yeah, indeed. Miles Rowe's gone to P1. Rowe has gone to the lead. 2 wins at Mid-Ohio and now finds himself running pretty strongly here as he has got himself back up to the front.
Miles Rowe, the new leader. Jace Denmark running second. Jones, D'Orlando, and Jacob Douglas has slipped back just a little bit to 5th as the top 5 make their way down Lakeshore Boulevard now, headed towards corner number 3. And it looks like Jace Denmark doesn't want to be second for too very long.
Yeah, 3 podiums for Jace Denmark at Mid-Ohio, and he does not want to see these 2 guys out front get away. He's still in mathematical contention for the championship. Yeah, he's back by 32 points. But if he comes in here and is able to, win a couple of races and kind of inch his way back in, he's in the discussion when we get to the triple header at Portland on Labor Day weekend. He needs these race wins, and of course his teammate Miles Rowe wants them as well. But for Denmark to even have a thought of trying to run for this championship and the scholarship to move to Indy Pro 2000, he needs race wins. He has to finish in front of his teammate.
And he wants to finish in front of his teammates. Doesn't necessarily have to be leading and overtake this weekend, but at least has to close that gap to give himself a fighting chance into the final 3 races, the triple header to end the weekend. What a sensational way to wrap up the USF 2000 season at Portland.
And so many points up for grabs on that finale, as we said. 99 points all total on offer for the 3-race win sweep. We'll see whether or not someone steps up, but right now the guy who has stepped up is Miles Rowe. Now, I did say at the intro that back-to-back pole positions for Jace Denmark, but as you had illustrated, it actually wasn't Denmark P1 in the opening race. It was actually Miles Rowe, but he blew the checkered flag, came through another lap around the racetrack, and that is a no-no on these events. You have to heed the flags. 2-position penalty dropped him back to 3rd. So indeed, Rowe back out where he was in terms of pace. You can see the top 3 drivers, or top 4, plus Jacob Douglas in the exclusive Autosport number 90. A great run here for Douglas right now as he's actually kind of closing up a little bit here on D'Orlando, matching the lap times of both Jones and D'Orlando last time by. But Todd, these two Pabst Racing drivers starting to stretch away a bit. 0.2 of a second a lap. The gap now 0.7 back to Jagger Jones.
5 laps in, and it's Rowe and Denmark who are going back and forth looking for an opening in terms of Jace Denmark looking to regain the lead, and Miles Rowe wants to keep glancing in his mirrors and hopefully keeping Jace Denmark well behind him as they come around through corner number 11 and see how close they get to that wall. You want to carry all the speed you can through corner number 11 and set yourself up for that front straightaway. Drift over to the left and then make that big right-hander in corner number 1.
Yeah. And Miles Rowe really putting down the lap times he needs to stretch away. First driver to go into the 112s, a purple lap time. Fastest driver on the racetrack, Miles Rowe. He's extended his lead to almost 0.8 of a second now back to his teammate Jace Denmark. And again, this is another thing for he and D'Orlando. He's trying to win races, trying to eke out that gap. Another side-by-side battle further back. Christian Weir on the inside, Bajoy Garg on the outside. That, I believe, is what, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th all lining up right there. Dylan Christie in it as well. Here's the shot from the tail, the exit essentially of turn number 5 through turn number 6, flat out for these drivers, and often you'll see the car kind of wiggle a bit through turn 6 because they really are running it on the ragged edge, but it has to be flat out if they're going to carry the speed they need into this corner here, Todd, turn number 8.
Yeah, that's a key passing zone if you get the opportunity, but it starts much earlier, coming out of corner number 5 and carrying the speed, as you mentioned, through 6, 7, and then towards 8. You see the car stepping out there. That looks like Jagger Jones, who's had a couple of incidents like that, with just the back end wants to step out. If you catch one of those bumps the wrong way, it'll just push the back end of the car out a little bit, and that means now you have to correct, now you have to catch it, and that means you're losing time.
Rowe with the lead by over a second now. Denmark second, Jones third, D'Orlando fourth, Douglas in fifth. 6th is Hayes, 7th is Kohlbecker, 8th is Christian Weir. He's got everybody behind him. Nicholas D'Orlando gets by Garg, so move Nick D'Orlando up into the 9th spot. Bajoy Garg 10th, Papa Sabas in 11th, Dylan Christie in 12th, Thomas Naveau in 13th, Billy Fraser 14th, Frederick Lund and Jorge Garcias round out the 16 drivers on the field. 6 laps down of a scheduled 20 right now, and drivers settling into mid-race pace. Long way to go still. And we mentioned a bit about early in qualifying about the tire strategy. They have essentially 3 sets of tires for 4 sessions, for 2 qualifying and 2 races. So there's going to be a race where you're on that used rubber, and a number of teams, as we know, Todd, doubled up on Cooper tires potentially in the qualifying run as well.
Looking for that best starting position that they could find during the qualifying sessions. So that's the price that you pay during the race, is you're going to have to use those old set of Cooper tires and have them last during the race. So now that we're 8 laps in, is this the point where, okay, I've got to manage my tires to have something left for the end? I want to push, I want to look for an opening, but I can't be too aggressive now because I've got to make these tires last.
Yeah, and if you do that, if you're the guy that's made your tires last better than anybody, you're going to be stronger over that last 5, 6, 7 laps. That's when we oftentimes see the gaps that have developed shrink down significantly. We'll see last lap passes based on drivers who have taken care of their tires. I will say this, Miles Rowe is just nailing the lap times right now. A 1:12.676, his fast lap last time by. He just gets quicker and quicker, that number 22 machine for Pabst Racing. And Pabst running 1-2 on the racetrack with Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark. I remember talking to Augie Pabst at Mid-Ohio, and after they had won that race, and he said, I just want to win a driver's championship. He's won the team championship before. If you're a Road to Indy fan and have watched it for many years, there was a run where it was very hard to beat Cape Motorsports. They won, I think, 8 of 9 championships, 8 of 10. It's the competition level has stepped up quite a bit in the Road to Indy, where we have a lot of different teams with the ability to win. We've seen that happen before. Drivers from Turn 3 Motorsports, from J. Howard Driver Development, Exclusive Autosport, Cape, Pabst, as I had said, D-Force Racing have been able to win. D-Force won the championship last year with Kiko Porto, but Augie Pabst wants that driver championship. And maybe it's going to be Miles Rowe this year. He is stepping up right now when challenged. D'Orlando's still there, P4. But the Rowe story, we could talk about it throughout the race, because this is a kid that hadn't raced for 4 years. Essentially, Will Power finding him at GoPro Motorplex and kind of getting things set up with the Force Indy Drive for Diversity through Penske Entertainment, and got a chance to run the USF2000 car last year with Force Indy. The Force Indy team refocusing on Indy Lights this year with Ernie Francis Jr., so kind of sitting on the sidelines. Miles Rowe, who had a strong but up and down. Inconsistent rookie season last year. Was able to win at New Jersey. Had just enough budget to kind of start the season this year. Had a huge wreck in the opening race at St. Petersburg, which ate up a lot of that budget, but came back the next day, showing his mental fortitude, and won after wrecking on the final lap, going for the win on Saturday. He gets the victory, and that has started essentially the momentum, I think, for him. He won at Barber Motorsports Park. He just started winning races. This is a young driver right now that you need to talk about, you need to look at in terms of potentially getting into Indy Pro 2000 and maybe the NTT IndyCar Series in 4 or 5 years.
He is a captivating story, Miles Rowe, to
Indeed.
listen and watch as you chronicle nicely his racing career as it has moved forward. The other part of that is he's completed his education with a film and screen study degree at Pace University in New York, which is sensational that he's been able to run both of those paths essentially at the same time. But he's a very engaging guy to drive and talk with.
How do you have that parallel, Todd? Because you think they're kind of different, right? You've got he's an artist. Like you follow him on social media, the photography that he does. He's that artist, that focus. But then the raw aggression and to be able to just hang it all out there when you're racing a car like this, especially on a track like Toronto. It's just such a unique personality. And if you've ever met Miles, he's very soft-spoken until he pulls the helmet on and puts the visor down, and the guy's a tiger out there. So he's such a great story, and we're going to see a lot more of Miles Rowe throughout the next couple of years. And hey, if he's able to win the championship and the scholarship, man, the amount of media attention he's going to get is going to be huge.
I'll give you the other part in terms of the creative too, as I think that helps you in a discipline like this because it allows you to think a little differently sometimes outside the box and maybe find a unique way to approach something, whether it's a setup, whether it's a racing line, but just a different angle that you approach something. Sometimes that's the key that's necessary.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And again, Miles Rowe, a great story, leading now by 1.9 seconds over his teammate Jace Denmark, who's dialed things up in his second season in this USF2000 program. It's been very impressive, as I said, for Jace Denmark, winning. He won actually that race in St. Petersburg when Thomas Nouveau and Miles Rowe got together in turn number 2 and 3 at the very end of the race. So he kind of got that victory, but he backed it up at Road America with a decisive win there, and I think that was good for him. It's kind of handed the win at St. Petersburg with the wreck in front of him, but was able to get a really strong win at Road America. But then he followed that up with a fantastic weekend at Mid-Ohio, probably the breakthrough weekend, even more so than the win at Road America. For Jace Denmark, the Arizona driver, the breakthrough at Mid-Ohio. 3 straight podium finishes, a couple of victories, a couple of second-place finishes there, and he is tightening things up in the championship as well. He's only 32 points behind his teammate, although it may stretch a little bit here, because Miles Rowe is looking very good out front as we are now past the halfway point, 11 laps down, 9 to go.
And Miles Rowe is getting faster as we move through this race as well. He was the first driver to turn a sub-113 lap during this USF2000 race. He has continued to get quicker, and now a 112.3, and Jace Denmark can only outmuster a 112.7, so increasing his lead once again as we pass the halfway point.
Rowe, Denmark, Jones, D'Orlando, and Douglas, the top 5. You got to go another 2 seconds back to Nicky Hayes in 6th, and things have kind of stretched out a bit there. Kohlbecker by himself in 7th, Weir in 8th, and he's finally been able to get that gap he needs ahead of Nicholas D'Orlando. D'Orlando, again, a pretty good run for him, started 12th. He's now up into the top 10 in the number 91 exclusive Autosport machine. Missed the first session, the practice session, so he's a full session behind, and you only get 5. So literally, qualifying 1 was his first time on the racetrack. He's been getting faster and faster. Of course, Nicholas D'Orlando, his brother Michael D'Orlando, his 3rd year in the series, really the first year for Nicholas, and he started in their USF Juniors program, so he's only a couple of races in to his USF2000 career. I'm hoping that Nicholas is able to get back with us in 2022, because he would definitely be, I think, a championship contender. He's got a lot of talent.
That's got to be an awful lot of information to absorb, jumping up from the USF Juniors program into this one. And yes, it's one step on the ladder on the road to Indy, but still the amount of information, the amount of new that you're going to have to experience and absorb in a short period of time, and missing a session, that makes it even that much more challenging.
Igor's Papa Savas has come into pit lane in the number 6. So not sure what's happening there to the Jay Howard driver development pilot, but he has pulled off the racetrack into pit lane in that number 6 machine. So drop him down the order. That's going to move Dylan Christie up a spot, as it will Thomas Nouveau, Bajoy Garg, Billy Fraser, Jorge Garcias, and Frederick Lund. So Papa Savas, who is running 11th position, finds himself now, actually was in 10th position, finding himself down. in pit lane. So it's Rowe, Denmark, Jones, D'Orlando, and Douglas, the top 5. 6th, Hayes. 7th, Kohlbecker. 8th, Weir. 9th, D'Orlando. And Dylan Christie for D-Force Racing now up into the top 10.
It seems to have settled down just a little bit. You see, though, as these tires begin to wear just a little and we get a little deeper into the run, they get a little hotter, it gets a little more slick. Some of the cars, as you're making that left-hander, just starting to jump out just a little bit. It's something to be aware of as you get towards the end of the run. Not that the Cooper tires wear out, but they do wear, and you do have to handle the car just a little bit differently as you move through the race.
Battle I'm kind of watching that could come up in a little bit here is the battle for 5th between Jacob Douglas and Nicky Hayes. Hayes was 0.3 of a second quicker last time by, 1.6 seconds back, so around 5 or 6 laps he would close up. He's got 7 to get there. So we may potentially see a battle for the top 5 as Jacob Douglas in that number 90, a 1:13.1. He just doesn't have the pace running with the Jones and D'Orlando. And look at the lap there for Denmark. He must have had an issue on that lap. He went down to a 1:13.6. So look for that. Here's the battle here. This is the leader well out front. Hold it here. There is second spot, but here comes 3rd and 4th. Jagger Jones, both he and Michael D'Orlando putting the target on the gearbox of Jace Denmark. Can they close and potentially move him down to P4? And for D'Orlando, if he could do that, it gets him a spot forward and also gets they're all trying to get rid of Denmark. They don't want Jace to be in the championship. They want this to be a 2-driver battle coming down. Rowe's doing his best, but D'Orlando, you know they're going to have their head down. They were 0.2 quicker again on Denmark, less than a second between 2nd and 3rd.
Jagger Jones is the interesting kind of right in the middle of that sandwich right now with Jace Denmark, who's feeling it a little bit from Jagger Jones, but Jagger Jones also getting a little pressure from Michael D'Orlando, who continues to close up on him, just less than a half a second between all those 2 drivers.
Yeah, and Jagger Jones, I think the biggest thing about Jagger right now is he potentially has the opportunity to get that draft. He got it down the straightaway. When you close it enough, you're going to get the draft. Now, we don't have a lot of aerodynamic downforce on these race cars. It's not too over the top, but there still is that aero wash. If you do get close behind one of the cars, especially coming through turn number 6 here, that fast right-hander, if you lose that air over the front wing, the turbulent air coming over the top of Denmark, Jones might have a little trouble getting in there. He'll get that mid-corner understeer. The car's going to want to push out a little bit, but right now doing everything he can to work his way forward. Jones trying to close on Denmark, but it's a 4.4 second lead for Miles Rowe down to a 1:12.1. He's a half a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack right now. What a drive for Miles Rowe.
Just did a 1:12 flat.
Wow.
So he is continuing to pick up the pace. 15 laps in with 5 to go. Denmark, Jones, D'Orlando, the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 3 drivers trying to settle up for the final 2 podium position spots right now. And Douglas rounding out the top 5.
Here's the crazy thing. You look at Jace Denmark at 1:12.6, Jagger Jones 1:12.5, D'Orlando 1:12.4. Those are the times you need to be in the top 5. Go all the way down to Billy Fraser. He just did a 13.5, but he did a 12.6. He's doing the same lap times as Denmark as he's trying to close up to Bajoy Garg. It's the ability to get those lap times consistently, but qualifying is so important. You can have a rough qualifying and be the fastest driver on the racetrack, and you're not going to the top 5.
That's it. You're right. It's getting the fast lap during getting the one fast one during qualifying to set yourself apart, and then being able to run them consistently out on the track. But that's again the purpose of the road to Indy. It gives drivers track time, race conditions. You want to perfect your craft, and it helps you improve so that you can put on those lap times consistently during the racing event.
That's what Miles Rowe is showing us here right now. 1:12 flat, 1:12 flat, just knocking out these 1:12 flats, which are a half a second faster than everyone. Jace Denmark challenged, and he steps up with a 1:12.2. And again, these cars burning through fuel, so they're going to be getting lighter and lighter. Now, the balance is the tires are going off a little bit. Maybe not the same kind of grip that they had at the very start of the day, but the fuel load's getting lower, so the times are still coming down. 5 full seconds, though, the advantage from Miles Rowe up front, and this would be absolutely huge for Miles. It would be his 5th win of the year, and maybe even more impressively, his 7th straight podium finish. And when you have that consistency and that confidence in yourself that I'm going to the podium. Everywhere I go, I'm going to be on the podium. When you've got 6 in a row like this, in fact, it's 6 in a row, 7 of the last 8 on the podium, and trying to go for win number 5. 2 of the last 3 races are wins. He had it at Mid-Ohio as well. So this kid is looking to put the key and lock it on this championship with another victory here.
Isn't that what we talked about, is that consistency wins championship?
Yes.
Running top 5 when you've got a top 5 car. Running consistently on the podium over the last 6 events as Miles Rowe has. That's what wins championships, and that's what's making it so difficult for Jay Stenbark or Michael D'Orlando to try to close that gap to make it a championship fight.
Because he's not flinching. He's not making any mistakes. And that was one of the reasons we talked about the fact that early in the season he only had the budget to kind of start the program. Well, once he showed what he had, won some races, and got that consistency, Roger Penske stepped up and said, hey, listen, I'm here for you. I will support the remainder of your season with Pabst Racing. Roger Penske himself stepping up to help Miles Rowe, and he is paying this off, this trust, this confidence, by showing everything we all could have expected out of Miles Rowe. Again, this will be his 7th, if he brings it home, his 7th consecutive podium finish, 5th win of the year, but still 3 laps to go for Miles Rowe. 5.2 seconds up on Jay Stenmark, who is holding his own over Jagger Jones and Michael D'Orlando. Jones came in 4th in points, 4 podium finishes. This would be his 5th podium finish of the year. Jagger, a winner at Barber Motorsports Park. Right now, hands down, the best rookie that we have in the circuit here this year. Only 2 rookies in the top 10 in points. Everybody else, second-year drivers. And that really shows. When you get into the road to Indy as a raw rookie in the program, it does take a couple of years really to get comfortable. Maybe not so much in Indy Pro 2000 because you know the tracks running USF. But for a guy like Jagger Jones, man, you just know there's such a great future ahead of him.
A terrific talent, but as we talked about, his history in terms of driving isn't in open-wheel cars.
No.
This is a whole new experience for him, not just the tracks, but the cars and the competition as well.
Yeah, right out of karting, he won a number of championships, cadet karting championships, Jagger Jones did. Ended up going stock car racing on the West Coast, a bunch of late model racing. Did a number of those programs on the West Coast, but finally said, hey, you know what? Indy's where my family is. Indy's where my heart is. Of course, the son of P.J. Jones, the grandson of the great Parnelli Jones as well. So Jagger's got it into the DNA. But from the very beginning of the season, Todd, when we talked, it was all about this is my career. This is Jagger Jones. This is my time to shine. I embrace my family's heritage, but this is for me to get it done myself, which I love about Jagger. He's focused on being his own man, doing it himself. But here we go, across the line, I believe, to put lap number 19 in the books. Indeed, the white flag flying for Miles Rowe. Could he win his 5th race of the year? That will put him 2 ahead of D'Orlando and extend that point gap to likely over 20 points. He's led the most laps of the race. He's got the fastest lap of the race already. So potential 32-point haul for Miles Rowe, the New Yorker.
You wonder how much Miles Rowe thought about yesterday when he went through that checkered flag at the end of the session and missed the entrance to pit lane and was penalized, and thought, all right, I'm about to make up for it during this race. I know I've got a fast car. I know I can win on these streets of Toronto. I'm going to show it today.
Put his name in the history books here in Toronto. I've said this before. When you blow the checker like that, it only better happen once in your career. Here he is coming out of turn number 6 through turn number 7 over to 8. And this is a historic run for this young driver. His first win outside of the country, north of the border here in Toronto. Keep this name in your record books, folks. He'll come out of the final couple of corners, 5th win of the season. Ahead here for the young driver to New York, New York. From Pabst Racing onto the front straightaway to kick off our road to Indy event. The winner in Toronto in USF2000 race number 1, Miles Rowe. Rowe victorious by a massive margin. The remainder of the battle coming through the final couple of corners of the racetrack. Jay Stenmark will take 2nd. Jagger Jones 3rd. Michael D'Orlando in 4th, and coming across for P5. Great run for Jacob Douglas. Nicky Hayes had the head down pushing forward. Hayes ends up in 6th. Mike Kolbecker in 7th spot. Coming across the line, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Nick D'Orlando, Dylan Christie, Thomas Naveau, Bajoy Garg, and I'll tell you, the guy in the pushing the moves on deep in the field was Billy Fraser coming forward. Not the result he wanted. He'll start much better in race number 2 tomorrow, but Fraser working his way right to the rear of Bajoy Garg coming across the line. But this thing's all about Miles Rowe in the number 22. A tremendous drive, 5.85 seconds the advantage. Miles Rowe, his 5th win of the season, and as I said, 7 straight podium finishes. He extends his point lead, and we get to do it all over again with USF2000 tomorrow morning as well. Doubleheader, though, Todd, here. Indy Pro 2000 drivers on the pre-grid will do Victory Lane, and give you the driver introductions for Indy Pro. Back-to-back Road to Indy races.
And we had plenty of great action in that 20-lap race with the USF2000 series. Rob Howden is going to make his way down to the victory podium and receive these USF2000 drivers as they're making their way now into pit lane. Green, right from the start of the race through to the checkered flag, an incident-free race, which is great, but a lot of terrific action out on the circuit. And how about that Miles Rowe, who continued to pop up fast lap after fast lap as we went through the race. Even on his last lap, the 20th lap of the race, a 1 minute 12.4. Not quite his best lap of a 1 minute 12 flat, but still faster than the second place runner of Jace Denmark, who came up with a 1 minute 12.5. Here's your finishing order with the unofficial results as Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark. Jagger Jones will make up the podium. Another great run for the rookie. And Michael D'Orlando comes up with a 4th place finish. He moves forward 1 spot from his position on the starting grid, trying to collect as many points as possible and stay into that championship fight. Strong run from Jacob Douglas, who rounds out the top 5. Nicky Hayes as well with a pretty good charge forward, picking up 3 spots from his starting position. Spike Kohlbecker, Weir, Nicholas D'Orlando, and Dylan Christie finish up in the 10th spot. Thomas Navu finishes up 11th, gaining a few positions for the Canadian from Oka, Quebec, in the final results unofficially in USF 2000 race number 1. Garg, Fraser, Garces, Frederick Lund, and Papasavas, who had his difficulties and pulled off after 9 laps, did not finish the race, had some contact, and Lund also with a mechanical issue that ended his day early. Strong effort out on track from Miles Rowe, who started from the 3rd position, picked up 1 spot in the early going, and then spent a lap or 2 hunting down Jace Denmark, who started on the pole position and was hoping to remain out in front and cut into that championship lead, but it was unable to hold on. Miles Rowe picks up the victory once again, and he's going to extend his championship lead. And as Rob mentioned, now 7 consecutive podiums for Miles Rowe in this series. Coming up, we had lots of great action in the USF 2000s. We will have plenty of more action on the next step on the road to Indy. The Indy Pro 2000 cars will come up with their first race of the doubleheader weekend here at the Honda Indy Toronto. It'll be Louis Foster, the British driver who is out in front of the championship by a large margin. Inam Ahmed will start on the front row as well, but it's Louis Foster, the rookie to the series, who has been really showing his strength and talent in the Indy Pro 2000 series. Lots more actions to come later on this afternoon as well. Following Indy Pro 2000, it'll be the NTT IndyCar Series back on track for their qualifying session. 3 rounds of knockout qualifying for the NTT IndyCar Series, and then racing resumes with the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. That will go green at 3:30 this afternoon, and then at 4:30 to wrap up our program, the Sports Car Championship Canada with their first race of the doubleheader weekend as well. Thank you so much for following and sharing all your social media photos and following Honda Indy Toronto on their social media channels. Great photos and behind-the-scenes video footage available from Honda Indy Toronto by following at Honda Indy on Instagram. And don't forget to tag your photos with hashtag IndyTO. News and information updates through Twitter as well, again, by following at Honda Indy. Just getting the drivers out of their cars and headed up towards the victory podium. Rob Howden will join us momentarily for the post-race ceremonies, and as mentioned, we'll be set for Indy Pro 2000 racing coming up in just a couple of moments. A quick break before we join Rob Howden with the victory ceremonies for the USF 2000 series. because life's next big adventure deserves the next generation Honda CR-V. SmartStop Self-Storage is proud to be the leading self-storage provider in the Toronto area with 19 locations in the GTA. Whether you need short or long-term storage for your home or business. Let's have a look at the starting grid for the Indy Pro 2000 series presented by Cooper Tires, beginning with row number 7. Starting in the number 93 car, it is Lindsay Brewer back in the car this weekend and showing steady improvement through the sessions. The number 40 of Jack William Miller will roll off in the 13th position. Moving into row number 6, it is Jonathan Brown, a rookie into the series, and on the inside, Wyatt Brkacek. In the 10th starting spot, it is Salvatore Di Alba in the number 6 car and Jordan Missig in the number 19. Kiko Porto will drive the number 1, a rookie to the Indy Pro 2000 series, defending USF2000 series champion in the number 1 car, Yuvan Sundramurthy in the number 18, starting 7th. Braden Eves will drive the number 6 car, and he will roll off from, the number 4 car and roll off from the 6th position. Rookie Josh Green, driving the 3 machine, will start 5th. Nolan Siegel will drive the number 8 and start 4th. Reese Gold in the number 55 will start in the 3rd position. And to our front row, Inam Ahmed on the outside of row number 1. As we mentioned, Louis Foster, the British driver, a rookie to the series, who has had a dominant season so far and leads the championship. He will lead the field to the green in row number 1. Louis Foster, with podium finishes at each event in the weekend, he has picked up 4 victories so far this season and looking for another victory here to extend his championship lead. A very strong season. Reese Gold has struggled to try to maintain and stay close in that championship in the number 55 car. Of course, as we mentioned, Reese Gold will roll off in the 3rd position right behind Louis Foster. Perhaps an opportunity right at the start of this race to make it up in the early going. All right, just about a minute and a half away from the command to get the Indy Pro 2000 series underway for race number 1 of the weekend. We had their qualifying session for race 2 earlier this morning, and it is Louis Foster who will lead them to the green this afternoon. Ahmed alongside on row number 1, followed by Gold and Siegel. As mentioned, Reese Gold trying to stay close in that championship, but has really struggled over the last couple of events, and Louis Foster has extended that lead. 1 minute until we get the engines fired for the Indy Pro 2000 series, and we will get action underway for our second race of the day. A very strong USF 2000 race with Miles Rowe showing his dominance, going flag to flag, almost with the victory. Started on the inside of row number 2, but then quickly found his way to the front, scored the victory in race number 1. The USF 2000 cars back again tomorrow. Indy Pro 2000 cars are lined up and ready to get the command. Braden Eves on row number 6. Yuvan Sundaramurthy will start in 7th position. Kiko Porto, the rookie, driving the number 1 car, the champion in the USF2000 series, starting 8th. Jordan Missig, the rookie, will start 9th. D'Alba and Brkacik are 10th and 11th. Jonathan Brown, Jack William Miller, and Lindsey Brewer in the number 93 car will round out the field. 14 cars set to take the green flag for the Indy Pro 2000 cars. Let's go down to pit lane for the command to get the Indy Pro 2000 race underway.
On behalf of L&W Supply, drivers, start your engines.
Thank you to Nicole Barnhart for giving that command, as we'll start to hear the Indy Pro 2000 Series drivers fire those cars up and get set to race here this afternoon on the streets of Toronto. The first race for the Indy Pro 2000 Series. And Rob Howden has rejoined me. He's brought a friend with him, too, driver Matt Clark, who's come to join us for this Indy Pro 2000 race. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, so we're in Canada right now. We're talking about the Road to Indy. I mentioned on the podium about our USF Juniors program, which is our development level for the drivers coming into the Road to Indy here. And Matt Clark, the Canadian at a Canadian race, just happens to be the point leader in USF 2000 trying to win a scholarship. So, Mac, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're here with your D-Force team. Taking some time out for being on pit lane with us. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I mean, it's been great this weekend being at home and seeing the Road to Indy really go to work.
Yeah, here's the thing. And I said this for Hinchcliffe a long time ago. I've said this to all these drivers. How badly do you want to be out there racing on your home track right now?
It's crazy. I mean, I've been on the pit wall most of the weekend with D-Force Racing and, just kind of sitting there watching the cars go by, itching to be out there. So.
Lots of work to be done still in your USF Juniors program. You're obviously leading, as we said. We got lots more racing still to come. We go to Road America. We go then to Austin, Texas as well at the Circuit of the Americas. There's work to be done, but you're in a really good spot right now.
I think, yeah, like you said, we're in a good spot, but I mean, still 2 rounds to go, and myself and the team, we're really working hard off the track to make sure we're ready for Road America.
So we're going to talk more to Matt Clark here about his USF Juniors program and what he's hoping to do next year. And again, having him as a guest in the booth, great to have him with us here. But yeah, we're going to get ready to go racing in the L&W Supply Grand Prix of Toronto. The drivers on their sighting lap around the track. We will go green this time by, and a great field of racers set to go. Louis Foster, unlike the battle we have in USF 2000, Foster comes in here with a pretty sizable lead in the championship battle. 49 points coming in, 2 pole positions means it's 51 points. And for Louis Foster, the driver out of England, an opportunity to potentially stretch here with 2 poles. But again, there's still lots of racing to be done, as I had said. The doubleheader here for Indy Pro 2000. Then in August, they'll head to Worldwide Technology Raceway in that 1.25-mile super fast oval there in St. Louis, Missouri. Then, of course, they'll cap us off at Portland as well. And again, the drivers will work their way out. Time to go racing here for the Indy Pro 2000 Championship presented by Cooper Tires. Foster on the inside. On the outside is Ahmed. It's an all-Brit front row. Working their way out of turn number 9 and 10. They'll get ready to punch things off. Clean out of turn number 11. We're going to line them up. Foster's going to try to get the early jump. Coming out of turn 11. Great lineup of 14 drivers. Green, green, green. And it'll go 3, 4 wide down in there. Somebody's lost a front wing already. We're going to go full course yellow, I bet. There's a front wing right in the middle of the racetrack. Unless they're able to get it from the AMR safety team. I would assume, Todd, though, right in the middle of the racetrack, will likely go probably when they get up to turn 5 or 6.
Let's see how this shakes out as they head towards corner number 3. The cars decided that it was best to go at least maybe single file or perhaps 2 wide. We do have a view of corner number 3 now. Let's see if everybody can step through here without any incident. A little bit of smoke under braking, but nothing serious. Looks like everybody's going to get through.
Yeah, hold your breath to come through there. You'll see the car with the wing off. I believe that is Jonathan Brown for turn 3 Motorsport, losing a front wing. Josh Green, well wide coming out there. A little sore wrist for Josh Green. Got hard into the barriers coming out of turn 8 into the pit wall at the end of qualifying. Now, we're still green. I wonder whether or not they potentially were able to get that wing. Maybe one of the MR safety crew jumping out to grab the wing, and no, we are going to go yellow. I thought they don't normally send someone to run out on the racetrack to grab a wing, so indeed, yellow flag flying. And this is going to help, really help Jonathan Brown, because he'll head to pit lane to put a new wing on it.
Just saw him dive in, as a matter of fact, before even completing lap number 1. Jonathan Brown will be able to get that change done. He'll get back out. He'll be tail end, of course, but a big advantage to be able to make that stop under yellow.
I really like the call from race control as well. Let's let them race for half the lap. We know we can bring them around to turn number 8, then allow them to kind of settle in, get that opening lap in. We'll go single file after this, but as opposed to wooing them up real quick, just give them that 3/4 of a lap to go racing.
Let the drivers sort it out. Matt Clark will tell us the same thing. That's what we want. We just want the drivers to sort this out. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it. Everything's fine.
Of course. I mean, you want as much green flag time as possible, right? Especially if you're kind of the P3, P4, P5 position. You really want to make up ground, so nice to have some green flag racing.
That's the best ways to do it, is off the start or off a restart. When everyone's bunched together, it's an opportunity to gain position. So let the drivers fight it out, and they have the chance to do it.
When you don't want to see the yellow flag, Mac, is when you've got that 5-second lead. You've run the first 3/4 of the race. You got this thing handled. The car is perfect. I got 5 seconds. I can cruise to the end. Then something happens, and the yellow flag comes out, and that just goes all the way.
I know a thing or two about that.
You do?
Few late race yellows at Mid-Ohio last time out, but I mean, it's all part of the game, right?
That's it. Mac actually had some pretty good leads over the 2 of the triple header races, and in the restart, which is so hard to defend on a restart at that racetrack, got pipped, but still the strong second place finishes in those races is what gives him that point lead heading to Road America at the end of this month here. A fantastic facility. How are you looking forward to that one, man? It's such a great racetrack.
Road America is, first-class facility, and I mean, the racetrack is a dream for any driver, so really looking forward to it.
We'll talk more about Matt Clark. We'll give you an opportunity to meet him a little bit more. We'll give him a chance to get his social media out. The young Canadian driver, I say, when people ask me, well, who's the young Canadian we need to watch? Who's going to be the next James Hinchcliffe? Who's going to come up through the ranks? Matt Clark out of Campbellville, Ontario, Canada. Really the guy to watch for right now as he's dialing things up. And again, getting ready to go here as we're going back to green flag racing. They'll roll their way out of turn number 9. And Foster tried to jump onto the early lead. Again, good restart for Foster. Anam Ahmed right there behind him. They'll work their way out of turn number 11. And indeed, Louis Foster going to defend down into turn number 1. A really solid restart for Foster. Braden Eves is going to defend a bit to the bottom of the racetrack further back, but everybody kind of settling in. The biggest battle, I think, Nolan Siegel and Reese Gold, though that's Josh Green. Siegel and Green going at it side by side into turn number 2. This will be the drag race down the line. Green going to block to the bottom of the racetrack, and you'll see Siegel tucked to the outside. Todd, one of the things about this track is you can run the outside line coming through turn number 3.
Carry the momentum through corner number 3, but you do want to have yourself back in line for corner number 4 and 5. It narrows down through that area, but it can be an advantage at times to run on the outside.
Yeah, into that corner, while Siegel tried to give him a little bit of room, Braden Eves threw that Jay Howard driver development number 4 to the inside. I think that Jordan Missig was able to capitalize on that and move into P5 or P6. Indeed, yeah, Missig in the Pabst Racing Machine up into 6th, move Ease down into 7th. Sundar Amurthy runs 8th. Kiko Porto and Jack William Miller rounding out your top 10. Miller able to get around, I think, Porto there, as we've got some aggressive racing. Elbows up here as we're back racing after the restart. Louis Foster trying to see if he can't stretch away a little bit. Foster in the number 90 Copart exclusive Autosport machine. It's been a heck of a run for Louis Foster, and almost, I would say, Todd, similar to what we're seeing at a Miles Rowe, just fed by confidence, fed by momentum. He just keeps making it happen, like Miles Rowe's literally 5 podium finishes, including 4 wins in the last 6 events. He's trying to keep it going here.
Keep scoring podiums, keep scoring race victories, and keep increasing that lead. As you mentioned, building that momentum moving forward. A lot of guys jumping forward on that last lap. As we mentioned, though, the restarts are an opportunity for drivers to gain position. Siegel and Green swap position, and Missig and Eves also swap position on that last restart.
Pabst Racing drivers back there in, 6th and 8th. Pretty good run for a couple of rookies in Missig and Sundar Amurthy, but up front, the Juncos Hollinger Racing pilots of Anam Ahmed and Reese Gold, seeing if they can't reel in Louis Foster right now. Ahmed running in the 2nd position. He rolls in here P4 in the points. For Anam Ahmed, he has 3 podium finishes, but has not yet got that race win. That's what he wants. He wants that first victory. This is a guy who's a former world karting champion. British Formula 3 champion, all the resume you would need, loves it over here in the U.S., and I love his first full season. He only ran the first couple of races last year, so Anam Ahmed is a driver with a ton of talent with a fantastic team
and you
in Hunkos Hollinger.
Sorry, you can see that he's got the talent because he was able to score the second quickest qualifying effort. He's got the speed. It's the consistency that you want to be able to do it lap after lap during the race. And how many times have we talked and we've seen drivers, once you break through and get that first victory, it's a weight lifted off your shoulders. It's the confidence that builds, understanding that you do understand the way to win races and how to win races, and now you can carry that forward.
Yeah, and sometimes it's drivers will get it going, like Louis Foster was struggling to get a feel for the tire early on. Had never run the Cooper tires before coming over from Europe, but once he figured that out and qualified better, got that first win, and then they came. The race wins came. For Matt Clark beside me here, you started off USF Juniors, obviously some success in F1600, some success in F4, but you didn't have to wait at all. You came out of the gate, swept at Ozarks, you swept at Barber, 4 wins to start the season. Talk a little bit about how much that momentum helped you. The confidence you got from a great start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, having a strong start to the season, I think, is always important. And myself and D-Force Racing, we came out of the gate swinging. Like you said, managed to sweep Barber, managed to sweep Ozarks as well. And, you know, it really gives everyone inside the whole program confidence moving forward.
Yeah, indeed. Foster leading by 2.9 seconds now. Last time by 7 or 8 tenths faster than Anam Ahmed. Feels a little bit like a carbon copy of what we saw with Miles Rotod in that last race where he was heads and tails quicker in terms of pace. We had Louis Foster on the pre-show. We got things rolling, talked a lot about his program and how he learned the car and how comfortable he's getting, how comfortable he feels here. St. Petersburg was his first ever race on a street course. You put that first one in the books. This one not nearly as daunting as that first race he ran.
You don't have nearly the same intimidation factor of the concrete walls if you've run them previously, be it at St. Petersburg or somewhere else. And as you build the confidence coming through the start of the season, you're getting to know the new car, getting to know your team, getting to know the new tires, as you mentioned, and then you start to qualify better. You may have the speed, you may even have it for a number of laps, but if you're qualifying better, you're not starting deeper in the field and having to pass car after car after car to get those good finishes. If you improve the qualifying, starting closer to the front, fewer cars to pass, the better results will come quickly.
And you find yourself out of some of that chaos that may happen midway through the pack. That's normally where it is. It's not always at the front. Sometimes it's, 6, 7, 8 on back. The drivers with maybe more to gain. They're trying to get a lot on that opening lap. You talked about how important it is to potentially get passes on the opening circuit, and that can potentially lead into some chaos. We did see a fight there further back as Salvador de Alba was trying to make a move around Jack William Miller. We'll see what happens as they come out of turn number 3 through 4. The bending left-hander down here to the right hand, turn number 5, very slippery corner, as the driver kind of get in on that concrete and wait for the car to grip back up when they roll back on the throttle. And then from out of that corner, it's flat out all the way through 6, 7, all the way down to turn number 8. A tough place to pass, because if you're going to pass an 8, you've got to kind of pinch off a different exit of 7 to dive down into the bottom of turn number 8.
If you're going to make that move, you want to be sure that there is going to be room for you up the inside, and the driver that you are attempting to pass knows that you are coming. Max, so if you're trying to make that pass up the inside, how far back are you setting up that pass for corner number 8? It's got to start corners earlier.
Yeah, I think an important part about making an efficient pass is, planning it and thinking ahead, like you said. 2, 3 corners before, you're really looking to set up that driver, change your racing line to ensure that you're able to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
And that's it. We talk about it all the time. The move out of turn number 5 as well as set up a pass down in turn number 8, which is odd. And the same thing when you're rolling through 9 and 10. That's the pass that's going to be made down in turn number 1. And you can see right now that I believe Josh Green starting to get maybe a little bit more antsy, trying to think he's ready to go on the attack. He's definitely getting held up right now by Gold in the number 55. And I got to say, I would think that if you're Josh Green, you're saying, I got a P2 car here. I may not be able to catch Foster, but I got a feeling I can get up to second. I got to get by this first Hollinger car before I go after the second Juncos Hollinger machine.
8 laps completed out of 25. So yes, I guess the question is too, yes, you have a faster car, and how quickly can you get by that car that you believe you're faster in front? You want to be aggressive. You want to make that pass as quickly as possible, but also understand that you've still got more than half of this race left to go.
Yeah, 25 lapper for drivers in Indy Pro 2000, the L&W Supply Grand Prix of Toronto. Great to have L&W Supply on board with us here this weekend in Toronto. But indeed, like you said, patience still a virtue. But you're, again, the anxiousness. I got to make it past. I know I'm faster. And a little bit of that will come to Matt Clark. That maybe you're faster now. I think that's where the anxiety comes in, right? The stress is I'm faster now. Maybe the car might go away on me a little bit. They may have gone higher on the tire pressure. I got to make the pass now. If you start feeling that, that's when you start making mistakes, though.
Yeah, I think so. It's important to remain calm inside the race car, especially, you know, if you're in a good position in the championship, you got to think about the long-term gain and really just make sure you keep that car underneath you, move forward slowly, and hopefully have a good finish.
Josh Green in the 5th spot in points, and I believe pushing hard to try to get by into 3rd. He is tied with Braden Eves in the points, 1 win, 3 podiums for that driver out of Mount Kisco, New York. Foster, Ahmed, Gold, Green, Siegel, the top 5. Missing, Eves, Sooner, Murthy, Porto, Miller, and De Alba. Pekacic, Brown, and Brewer, the 14 drivers that we have into the field. Being told we have a driver potentially into the tires in turn number 3. That would be Salvador De Alba, we think, potentially in turn number 3 in the tires. We have not seen the yellow flag fly yet. There's De Alba right there. Lost the front wing. He's trying to get that car refired. So we're close to going yellow. Indeed we are. Full course yellow for Salvador De Alba, who has gone into the tires. And again, that was that battle he was having with Jack William Miller. And I think both of them getting super aggressive. And you know what, mate? Hopefully we'll get a replay, but you got to think it's just a late breaker trying to get down the inside.
And race control waiting again to give De Alba the opportunity to maybe get that car refired, maybe get back out of the way and not have to go green. But yes, finally when things are approaching at a high speed, it's like we cannot leave that car out there. You got to slow the field and go out and retrieve it.
Didn't we talk about this at the start? Like that, you know, going yellow early, but how about 10 laps in? Now, it's not the last 5 laps, but Foster was leading by 4.9 seconds. Sees that absolutely disappear and allows Anam Ahmed to close back up. And maybe even more importantly, it may give Josh Green a chance on a restart to get a run down into turn number 1. And you know, Mac, is that what you'd be thinking? Let's say let me put you in a situation right now. You think you're Josh Green, you're putting the pressure on Gold. What's your move right now? You try to make the move down into 1?
I think so. I think Josh knows he has a really fast car in that turn 3 motorsports machine. So, you know, he's eyes up, looking to move forward. Definitely turn 1 as well as turn 3 can be an amazing passing spot.
So that's the thing too. So again, talking about a pass setting up early, right? So if they come down to turn number 1, he might do the fake to the inside, see if he can get Gold to bite and defend a little bit. When you defend going into a corner, you give up the exit speed, right? You have a tighter radius. So if he defends in turn number 1, then he's a sit and duck at the end of the straightaway in turn number 3.
Agreed, and I think Josh knows that he's a smart racer. He's going to try to get Reese Gold, you know, dummy that inside line, get a poor exit out of turn 1, and then hopefully look to make a move down into T3.
Well, I'm going to ask Mac to give up some of his secrets then. So on the restart, if you're Josh Green and Reese Gold is your target on the restart, again, how soon do you start setting that up? Do you start moving up and backing off and moving up and backing off as you're approaching the green flag to restart so that you don't necessarily give your opponent all the knowledge as to when you're going to make your move?
That's a really good point. And no, the restart acceleration point is crucial for every driver. And I think a large part of getting that right is keeping your eyes up, making sure you're looking, you know, 2-3 cars ahead in Josh Green's case, and making sure he has that good initial launch to try to make a move.
So get ready, folks. We're going back to green flag racing, this time by Louis Foster. We had almost a 5-second lead before we went yellow, is going to once again try to defend off the restart. Was very good coming out of turn number 10 and 11. And I think the tough nature of 10 and 11 makes it a little bit easier for him to kind of surprise everybody and punch off when he's set to go. So he should be able to defend up into 1. But again, he's the one with the advantage, no one else. So Ahmed, Gold, Green, Siegel, all with a chance to potentially attack. We'll be watching for Josh Green, who showed that he believes the pace. We're back to green flag racing, down into 1. Here's that move to the bottom of the racetrack. There is Gold going to the bottom, and coming to the bottom of the racetrack as well is Siegel trying to find a way by, not quite there. And it was indeed Gold to the bottom. You can only make the 1 move in defense, so he's going to lose a bit of exit speed. Foster out quickly from Ahmed. Look at this. Here comes Josh Green. He knows this is a great opportunity for him at the halfway point. Can he make a move? Down into turn number 3 right now. Everybody clean. Oh, those side by side. Hold on. He's through. Everybody coming through here as well. Green, book it. In the inside, he'll take over P3. There's first, second, Green third, Gold fourth. Look at these guys hanging it out here right now. That was a fantastic opening lap after the restart. And Josh Green, we knew it, aggressive, made the move to the inside, but everybody else trying to take advantage as well. And to be honest, Todd, I think Reese Gold did a pretty good job not going further back.
I'd like to give congratulations to all these Indy Pro 2000 drivers because I didn't know you could go 3 wide through corner number 3 and out towards corner number 4, but they managed to do it. And Mac, you talked about having maybe an attempt to try to make that pass and gain the position in corner number 1, but when it wasn't there, then you have to look for your next opportunity, and that's when Josh Green was able to get around Reese Gold in corner number 3.
Yeah, and I think, like we were talking about, that restart was super crucial, and he was able to get, Gold to block to the inside turn 1, giving him a really good run down the straightaway T3, and he was able to make that move nice and late on the brakes.
And here's the thing, a little bit to add on for Josh Green. You remember earlier today in qualifying for race number 2, he ends up tapping the wall coming out of turn 8, asking for a bit more out of the car for qualifying. Spins the car, ends up really getting into the end of pit lane. That team, Turn 3 Motorsport, had to go to work between that session and this session to get him back going. There was a ton of damage on that race car, Todd. And again, even Josh, he was in with the medics. His wrist is wrapped up quite a bit, hurt his wrist a little bit. This kid's on a mission right now, and this may be the best I've seen him drive in terms of really getting at it here, going at it. A little slide coming out of turn number 8. He's trying to reel in a med. He's already got one of the Juncos Hollinger cars, moving Gold down to 4th. Are we going to see Josh Green go to P2?
That's his goal in the next half of this race, as we're just passing the halfway point now. He's managed to get around Reese Gold. Now he's set his sights on the next contender, and that's the mentality of a race car driver. Okay, I've got this position, now I want the next one. If you're out front, that's the ultimate goal. But next, I want the next position. You can see it looks like coming through corner 1 and down towards Lakeshore, he's really starting to cut into that lead already.
I love that shot coming out of turn number 1. As you can see, the corner corrections as they're out. The wheels are going left and right. I'll tell you, great having Matt Clark up here. As we said, the point leader in USF Juniors, hoping to try to go to USF2000 next year. Not only is he gaining some PA booth experience, but the kid's going to school, watching what's happening on the racetrack right now. He's got his advantage of watching these guys and what they're doing. And I'll tell you, Anam Ahmed has got a handful of race car right now. Every exit, he is really on that wheel.
Yeah, you can see down on the exit of turn 1, a little bit of counter steer. He was looking pretty sketchy. And I think, he's trying to push hard, keep himself ahead of Josh Green, and keeping his eyes up towards Louis Foster, because Foster seems like he has a really fast race car.
And they're on the radio telling him, hey, Green's coming. He just got by a Gold, your teammate. Now he's pushing hard. And Green is hanging it out there. Big time coming through turn number 9 and 10. This is some aggressive running here for Josh Green. Let's have a look at the lap times. He was a 10th quicker last time by. Another 10th again for Josh Green. He's got it down to 0.8 of a second. We've got essentially still 11 laps remaining, so Green with a lot of time. And now it's Nolan Siegel's turn to see if he can't get by. Josh Green up into 3rd, but Nolan Siegel and Reese Gold, those two drivers came into the series 4 years ago at the tender age of 14. They're both now race winners in USF2000 and Indy Pro. And look at Siegel trying to go around the outside. Both 17-year-old teenagers, very talented behind the wheel, and they're battling it out for 4th and 5th right now here in Indy Pro 2000. We know that Green pushing to try to get his way back forward. Lost in the shuffle, a 1.6 second advantage over 3 laps for Louis Foster. He's back out front again.
Yes, that's Louis Foster doing what he's done best so far in this Indy Pro 2000 series. Reese Gold, though, continues to be under attack from Nolan Siegel, as you can see, coming now through corner number 11, headed out towards the front part of the course again. That attack is going to continue. He's right up on the gearbox, and now you want to carry the speed through corner number 11. As we saw with the pass from Green on Gold, maybe you have the opportunity in corner number 1, but if it's not there, then maybe it comes a little further down the racetrack in corner number 3.
I love the battle further back as well. You go a 1.5 seconds behind Siegel, and it's Missig, Suter-Murthy, Eves, Miller, and Porto all in line as well. And that is for, 6th on back to 10th. So the back part of the top 10, not done at all. Even Suter-Murthy in the 18, thinking about trying to find a way by his teammate. Indeed, here comes Suter-Murthy to the inside. Can he make it stick side by side? Oh, but he's not done yet. You got to hold to the top of the hill, pinches him off. Book it. Suter-Murthy now to P6, and that was 2 teammates working together. Mac, you've been told by D-Force, do not wreck your teammate.
That's like the #1 rule in motorsport, right? Got to keep it clean with your teammates.
That's it. That's straight from Mac for sure.
Textbook pass, though, to come up the inside and then hold their line up the inside of corner number 3 on that right-hander going uphill, and not leave quite enough room for your opponent to dive back in front of you before you get to 4.
I know it's not 100% true, but I always say if you own the the apex, you own the exit. Right? So if I'm on the apex there, I got the inside. All you got to really do is drift it out a little bit farther, and you're going to get that driver to pinch back. You don't want to wreck a car, but if you take command of the corner, Mac, then you pretty much have it under control.
Agreed, and I think that's pretty much applicable to anything apart from oval racing. We have a lot of road courses here in the road to Indy, and no, I'd 100% agree with that. Usually, once you get the car down to the apex, you have the preferred line for the exit. You know, you can kind of squeeze your opponent on the outside and get it done.
That's it. Watching more battling further back again. This is the scrap in. Nolan Siegel still trying the outside now on Reese Gold. That's close. Not quite able to hold it. I love Siegel trying the outside, though, even though that car is kind of rotating by itself as it climbs back up the hill from 3 to turn number 4. He is putting so much pressure right now. I'm thinking about the inside of turn 6. Got to watch that front wing. Siegel, relentless in the pressure for P4, putting all the pressure on Reese Gold. That's the best battle to watch on the racetrack right now, 4th and 5th. And there is 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th lined up. Yuvan Sundermurthy is impressing me. I've been talking about the fact that I think that Day Alba has been one of the most impressive drivers, the most improved drivers over the second half of the season. But this Indian American, Yuvan Sundermurthy, a University of Wisconsin student out of Delafield, Wisconsin, a winner in USF2000 last year, rookie here with Pabst Racing. He is just getting more and more confident, better feel for the race car, and up into 6th place now for Yuvan Sundermurthy. I'm really impressed with how he's handling his run here in Toronto.
That's what we've talked about with confidence, moving through the season, gaining more knowledge about the car, about the team, and learning the circuits. Have you been through and gone and experienced a street circuit before, whether these drivers have been in St. Petersburg or another street circuit? Mac Clark, tell us about it. That's that you understand what to expect. You don't find those concrete walls quite as intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, once you get your first street course under your belt, I'm looking to do that in the next year or so. I haven't done it myself, so I can't give you too much, you know, advice. But I think, you know, once you get your first one under your belt, you feel more confident going into the next one. So all of these drivers in the Indy Pro 2000 category, they had St. Pete to kind of get themselves prepared for Toronto.
Yeah, we'll bring Mac back again once he gets some experience. He's got enough experience to talk about stuff right now.
Yeah, okay,
right?
except for all the race wins he's got this year. Yeah. He's having himself a great season.
Lap after lap up at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park at an F1600. This guy's got lots of experience. I get a future star of Canadian Motorsports, Mac Clark, joining us here today in the booth alongside myself, Rob Howden, and the voice of the Honda Indy Toronto, Todd Lewis. We are now about 7 laps away from wrapping things up here. Foster out to a 3.1 second lead, really putting the dominance on the championship right now. And again, I talked about in USF2000, Augie Pabst from Pabst Racing wanting that driver's championship. Let's put it over to Michael Duncalf right now from Exclusive Autosport. Michael and Kimberly Duncalf from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. They've recently moved the shop down into Brownsburg, Indiana, but it's a Canadian team. They call themselves the A-Team. EH team, of course, because the Canadian roots. But Michael has been wanting a championship as well. When you're a team owner, yeah, it's a business, but you're also a sportsman, and you want that championship. You want those titles hanging up in the garage.
You are not in the racing business unless you are a competitive individual. There are a lot of other business opportunities that don't require that same drive and that same competitive nature. And this, you love it because you love competition.
Well, if you want to be a millionaire in racing, just start with $2 million. Right? That's what you got to do. It's a tough business for sure. But again, like I said, they're all sportsmen. They all want those race wins. And Louis Foster potentially bringing that elusive drivers championship to Exclusive Autosport. But a long way to go. As anybody would say, there is a long way still to go in this championship. And those drivers in the middle of this fight, Louis Foster, Reese Gold, Nolan Siegel, Anam Ahmed, Braden Eves, Josh Green, all within 73 points. And we have a lot of points still on offer on the season. Here's a fight further back. We'll pick that one up as well. There's your top 3, 4, 5. There's 6 and 7. Oh, look at this scrap right now. That is, I believe, Braden Eves trying to get by Jordan Missig. And Missig making that car about as wide as you possibly can. Eves tried up the outside. And really, Todd, you can't make that move up the outside unless you're well alongside and essentially ahead coming into the corner, because all the driver has to do is crowd you over to the left side of the racetrack and you're done.
Exactly. You're not running the driver off the racetrack because that's not really possible here, but you're just making it extra difficult for them to complete the maneuver that they're hoping to complete. I want to ask Mac Clark about this too. As we've seen Nolan Siegel a few times try to go up the inside of Reese Gold, whether it be in corner number 1 or corner number 3, hasn't been able to make that move successfully. He was forced to the outside. how does Nolan Siegel try to get Reese Gold to alter his line so either that move is available, that he can go up the inside, or make it successfully around the outside?
I think Nolan's got to really work Reese here, put the pressure on, and kind of sell himself. He's gonna make a fake move to the outside, and then hopefully Gold's only allowed to move once. That's a rule that we have all the way through the road to Indy, as well as an IndyCar. Gold's only allowed to move once to defend his position. So Nolan's got to get him to go one way and then go the other, because the car behind, you're allowed to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So Nolan's got to put a little bit of pressure on him, make that happen.
And you push him to commit, right? You got to get the driver to commit to the defense, and then you're allowed to have the outside line. And Mac was bang on. And you're allowed one move to defense, but it can't be in reaction. That's the other thing too. If I make a move to the inside, you can't have that one move to come across to block me. You're allowed to make the one move to defense to the inside of the corner. Of course, that's your best pass to the bottom.
That's the best definition of defense versus blocking, is if you react and you try to stop a driver from making a move that he's already chosen. That's blocking, and that will be penalized.
4 laps remain here for Louis Foster. He's up by 4 seconds over Anam Ahmed and Josh Green. I've talked about the parity of the teams here in this Road to Indy as well. You've got Exclusive Autosport, Juncos Hollinger, and Turn 3 Motorsport in the top 3. You go top 6, and you added D-Force Racing and Pabst Racing. 5 different teams in the top 6, and that's what we see in this Road to Indy. Same thing in USF2000. The teams we have in our paddock are fantastic groups of passionate individuals that all come together as a team. Doesn't matter which tent you're with. It's the different culture that really separates, and that's about it. Otherwise, look, there's your lead. Let's have a look at it. There we go, and we're waiting to the next driver, Anam Ahmed. Green not quite done. Both those drivers 109.3s last time by, and as Foster comes across the line, we'll have 3 laps to go. Foster has had 4 wins in the last 6 races, 5 podiums, looking to extend that to 5 wins and 7 and 6 podiums. Very similar trajectories, Todd, for Miles Rowe and Louis Foster up front. They've really kind of stepped things up midway through the season to stamp their names on a championship contention.
And the leads that they had late in the race is very similar as well. Race number 1 of the USF2000 and race number 1 here in the Indy Pro 2000 series. So now it's a matter of managing that distance through towards the final few laps, but Louis Foster looks to have this race in complete control, which of course as soon as I say that will change.
Yeah, don't jinx it. It wasn't me, at least, thank goodness. 3 laps remaining. It'll be 2 when they come back around. Foster's lead by 4.5. This is not done. That is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Let's keep it happening here with Ahmed, Green, Gold, and Siegel. Green slowly catching up to Ahmed, but not quite enough. And the same goes for Siegel. He's trying to get himself back where he needs to be. And then we've got the fight between Jordan Missing and Braden Eves for 7th and 8th. That not done at all either. So a lot of good one-on-one battles on the racetrack right now here. Drivers settling in for the final couple of circuits around this 1.7-mile racetrack. Those of you joining us on the Road to Indy TV app or on the Road to Indy TV YouTube channel, of course, we'll be back for 2 more races tomorrow morning with USF2000 and Indy Pro, wrapping up their doubleheader weekends here on the streets of Toronto. Again, this is the L&W Supply Grand Prix of Toronto as into the stretch run for the drivers in the Road to Indy. Green up on the wheel, really bouncing back from the issue that he had in qualifying for race 2. And I think the fight further back between Eves and Missing going to heat up here as well. As here comes 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the 3rd, 4th, 5th. There's 6th, here's 7th and 8th. And yeah, Missing still holding off a determined Braden Eves. 5.1 seconds for Louis Foster, the British driver. I know tons of fans, of course, over in England cheering on this Brit. And it's been great to have Louis here with us. Came out of the gate with a really consistent run, but just didn't maximize qualifying. We talk all about it. He was very, very honest about the fact, I'm not getting everything out of these Cooper tires. The minute he figured it out in Indianapolis, it's really been a freight train since then. He's qualified better, as you said. It's not like he was qualifying, 8th, 9th, and 10th. But when you're qualified 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, that changes everything.
Far fewer cars to pass. You give yourself a better position at the start. It puts you in a position to succeed during the race, not having to battle as hard, not having to pass as many cars, not having to fight as hard to hold off competition as well. It gives you a much better starting point. literally and figuratively.
Final lap on the racetrack for Louis Foster as he works his way through turn number 3. And it's a massive gap for the exclusive Autosport driver trying to win yet another victory. It would be his 5th of the last 7 weekends. What a run it's been for Louis Foster. He'll work his way out of turn number 6, over to 7. This is when you can give yourself a little bit more room, get off the gas a little bit earlier, on the brakes a bit earlier as well, just kind of cruise your way through. We got to wait and wait and wait to even see second and third place drivers. Louis Foster. Could this be the next driver to work his way to the NTT IndyCar Series, trying to go after a scholarship worth almost $700,000 out of the final quarter on the racetrack? Another win for the driver who leads the points. Indy Pro 2000 Race 1 in Toronto goes to Louis Foster from exclusive Autosport. A tremendous victory for the driver of the number 90. Anam Ahmed ends up holding off Josh Green. Anam Ahmed in second, Josh Green third. Gold somehow holding back a determined Nolan Siegel. Gold ends up in 4th, Nolan Siegel 5th, Yuvan Sundaramurthy in 6th, Jordan Missing in 7th, 8th is Jack William Miller, 9th Kiko Porto, and Jonathan Brown rounding out the top 10. Before we let you go, Matt Clark, again, one of the young Canadian stars of open wheel racing, F1600 champion, trying to win a title at USF Juniors. How can Canadian race fans follow you? Give me your social media, where they're able to follow you.
So, I mean, a lot of us younger drivers nowadays, we're all over social media. I got my stuff going, so I'm _ Matt Clark on Instagram. My website is mattclarkracing.com. I got a Facebook page as well, Twitter, same _ Matt Clark. So, yeah, big thank you to any of the race fans out there that want to give my journey a follow, and hopefully, on the way up the road to Indy.
Yeah, for the last couple of decades, Canada's been able to follow a lot of great drivers, James Hinchcliffe being one of them. This could be the next James Hinchcliffe, folks. Make sure to look up Matt Clark on social media or mattclarkracing.com. Thanks for joining me. I'll have you on the pre-show tomorrow. I think we got it lined up, so well done today.
No, looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys having me.
Matt Clark, folks. Todd Lewis, what a great race for Louis Foster. 5.2 seconds the victor over Anam Ahmed and Josh Green. 3 different teams on the podium as well, but again, this is a championship leader putting another nail in the coffin with big points. This is a big one for Louis Foster.
Came into the weekend with a 49-point lead and has now extended that and getting himself closer and closer to clinching that championship trophy and clinching that scholarship to the next level on the road to Indy, to move up from Indy Pro 2000 to Indy Lights. Rob Howden is going to dash down to go to victory podium. Our thanks to him and to Matt Clark for joining us here at the broadcast location as well. Congratulations again to Louis Foster, Inam Ahmed, and Josh Green, your top 3 finishers in the Indy Pro 2000 series. Reese Gold, as Rob put it, somehow managed to hold off Nolan Siegel through all that traffic and all those attacks that were taking place out on track. Sundaramurthy, Missing, Miller, Porto, and Brown, Wyatt Prokachik, and Braden Eves. And there is your winner, climbing out of his number 90 machine. Louis Foster scores another victory, and with the confident number 1 signal, comes out of the car to collect another podium finish. And his record remains intact of collecting a podium finish at each race weekend event this season and extend that lead. Reese Gold finishes off the podium again, so he's going to lose a little bit of ground, and it has been a bit of a struggle for him. But another outstanding race for the Road to Indy participants, this one on the Indy Pro 2000 series, and congratulations from all of the team for Louis Foster, who is having himself just a tremendous season here in the Indy Pro 2000 series. Coming up at the top of the hour, getting set for our next on-track activity, that will be the NTT IndyCar Series and their qualifying session that will take place beginning at the top of the hour with the 3 knockout portions of IndyCar qualifying, and then back into racing action with the Porsche Carrera Cup North America Series, race number 1 of their weekend. They will race again tomorrow prior to the NTT IndyCar Series and the 4:30 start of the Sports Car Championship Canada. Here are the updated standings now after another victory from Louis Foster, who, as we mentioned, has extended his championship lead to 63 points over Reese Gold. Nolan Siegel falls a little further back as well. Inam Ahmed and Nolan Siegel really battling it out for 3rd position right now. There will be some shuffling, it looks like, perhaps between 3, 4, and 5 in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, but Louis Foster has taken another step towards claiming that championship. Don't forget to visit the Grains on the Go exhibit in Thunder Alley today to virtually tour Grain Farm in 360 degrees and learn how Ontario grains can be used to create renewable sources like ethanol. Black Magic Car Care products are proud sponsors of the Honda Indy Toronto. When it comes to your tires and wheels, you want to give them the shine they deserve. That's exactly what new Black Magic Intense Ceramic and Graphene can do. Black Magic will make your ride look like you just drove off the showroom floor, because every day is a good day to shine.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Enduro Maxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic.
I know 3 deserving drivers will join me up here on victory lane to get some hardware. Let's start with the driver who battled his way up to 3rd spot. What a great run, folks, from Turn 3 Motorsports, Josh Green. 3rd spot after a hard crash in qualifying. Fantastic job. And we got 3rd place trophy in right now. Terrence Sasser, one of our guests from L&W Supply. More hardware for Josh. You can see he's got that wrist wrapped up after the incident in qualifying. What a tremendous drive today, working his way forward. So much fun to watch. Good battle as well for 2nd place. Josh was trying to reel him in, but just wasn't quite enough. 3 different teams on the top 3, as I had said, finishing in 2nd spot today from Hunko's Hollinger Racing. A round of applause for Anam Ahmed. 4th podium on the year for Anam. Let's bring that trophy up here as well. Becky Gilmore, one of our guests from L&W, presenting him with some more hardware. That race win just around the corner for Anam, a very talented driver. Pakistani born, living in the UK, proudly carrying the Pakistani flag. Thank you so much, Becky. We appreciate it. This championship, very much like USF2000, started to get pretty interesting. The driver who gets another win here today is on a mid-season roll, very much like Miles Rowe. Another victory here, folks. He'll stretch the point lead. For Exclusive Autosport from England, the winner today, Louis Foster. Couple of British drivers up here. Louis Foster, I know that you racers always say, I'm just going to go out there, I'll just win races and let the championship take care of itself. Well, really, that's what's happening right now. You've won a bunch of races mid-season, and the point lead is strong here right now, heading, of course, to a race tomorrow and then to the Oval at Gateway.
Yeah, I mean, this race was obviously a good race. I knew that the first lap was going to be the most difficult. I knew Anam's quite feisty on lap 1, so I tried my best to keep him behind me. But yeah, I think our pace when the tyres are quite cold was a lot better than others, so we managed to pull a really, really good lead. Unfortunately, the safety car came out, which bunched us all up again. I think there was 2 safety cars, or yeah, I can't remember now. It's only 20 minutes ago. But yeah, I mean, the car was great. Me and John worked really hard, especially the boys at Exclusive. We worked really hard this weekend and every weekend, so a big thank you to them. And obviously, we won in Exclusive's home country, Canada. So
you did. It's a Canadian team as well. Let me throw, Canadian. How about for Canada right now? Let me throw this out there before we wrap up. Obviously, one of the cool things of the IndyCar Series and the Road to Indy is we run on all the different circuits: natural terrain, ovals, and street circuits. Only one driver's done that this year, folks, and that is Louis Foster. He's won on all 3 different circuits this year: the street circuit here, natural terrain road course. He was the oval winner as well. Dude, that's amazing.
I mean, coming into this season, I hadn't ever driven on an oval and I hadn't ever driven on a street course, so I guess we learned quite quickly.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
One more time for Louis Foster, folks. What a tremendous victory here today. Let's bring that 1st place trophy up. Marbel Batusta is going to help us out. Marbel, thank you. Again, one of our guests from L&W, Marbel Batusta, joining us here. Again, I always say this during these podiums when people are here to watch these events. This is the future of the NTT IndyCar Series. Only a couple of years ago, this was Rinus VeeKay and Pato O'Ward and Connor Daly and all the drivers that you're seeing on the NTT IndyCar Series grid. A couple of British drivers and an American on the podium here today, and they're going to do it all again tomorrow morning, of course. But again, this championship looking more and more like Louis Foster is in a fantastic position. One more race tomorrow. In fact, 5 more races left to go on the season. One here tomorrow. At the end of July, we'll head to Worldwide Technology Raceway on the oval there, the 1.125-mile oval in St. Louis. And then, of course, from there, the Labor Day weekend finale for the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, a triple header in Portland International Raceway. But as I had said, really impressive for Louis Foster. And he mentioned it. He'd never been on a street circuit before he came here to the U.S. Wins here in Toronto, having run at St. Petersburg the first time. Wins on the oval as well at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Freedom 90. And, of course, victorious, as we have said, as well on natural terrain road courses throughout the season. Going through our podium presentation schedule, getting all the correct photos here for you. We've got guests that are coming to join us up here as well before we pull out the champagne to spray. What's next, Gavin? Again, a lot of our guests coming from L&W Supply here this weekend, and again, Cooper Tires. Just great to have a lot of fantastic people joining us here as part of this event here in Toronto. And if you want to be involved with the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, we'd be more than happy to help talk to you about hospitality opportunities and chance just to get out here, bring your team out here, bring your company out here, your customers, whatever it may be. We have a lot of fun as part of our program here. Get a chance to get on the podium here with the drivers who you're going to see in the NTT IndyCar Series in a couple of years. And again, I can just kind of go through the whole group. The Colton Hurtis, Rinus VeeKay, Felix Rosenquist, Dalton Kellett, Kyle Kirkwood, Connor Daly, Joseph Newgarden. Keep going through the ranks of the drivers who have worked their way again in to this fantastic program. Beautiful day, of course, here in Toronto as well. We've had rain here in years past. No way. This is Chamber of Commerce weather for the weekend here. 2 more races for you tomorrow to fire things up before the NTT IndyCar Series get ready to roll with the Honda Indy Toronto. That's going to be a tremendous race around this fantastic track. So our good folks from L&W Supply, the guests head on down. We've got some champagne waiting in the sidelines for the drivers here. Our kids on track here as well. We brought them up for our USF2000 program, and great to have the kids from the Kids on Track program brought to you by High Tide Boat Lifts. Again, the drivers, of course, from here will head all back to their trailers and get a chance to sit down with their engineers. The work not done. You may think that, yeah, we've won this race. Now it's time to go have some dinner and enjoy yourselves. But to be honest, they've got work still to do. They'll download all the data from the race cars and go over every corner, every lap to find out how they can go a little bit quicker. You'll look at your teammates' data. A lot of work still to be done for the drivers here, despite the fact they're enjoying themselves here at the podium. So again, we'll finish off with a traditional celebration. A little champagne to spray to cap things off here on the day. And again, as we said, tremendous runs. Miles Rowe, your point leader, winning in USF2000. Indy Pro 2000 point leader, Louis Foster doing the same thing, stretching that point lead. Champagne will fly for the drivers here on the podium. Josh Green and Louis Foster letting her rip there, the bubbly. And we'll cap things off, folks, one more time if you're here at Victory Lane. A round of applause for the winner today, Louis Foster for Exclusive Autosport. A winner on all 3 racing circuits of the 2022 Indy Pro 2000 season. Folks, again, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. More Road to Indy action for you. Enjoy the rest of the day. Folks, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.